Howdy, folks, and welcome back for another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers Podcast, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, we are your hosts, Evan Davies, our favorite Spider-Man hater, Dylan Davies.
Yeah, that one's not fair, actually.
I know,
I actually do enjoy most Spider-Man.
I know, you do actually like Spider-Man. I just wanted to fuck with you to get the show started. We are back to our big box office series, and if that didn't give it away, we are to a bigger box office year for Spider-Man fans. It is the year 2007. So I hope you guys just enjoyed our last episode with the first 10 entries into our top 100 series. As you can tell, Dylan and I have some different movie tastes here. That's A-okay. It'll get even crazier because we've already pre-recorded some of those episodes.
Yeah.
But today we're continuing our big box office series. Like we said, it's 2007 and it's Spider-Man 3.
AKA the episode where Dylan gets progressively more drunk. I'm. This is the episode where I'm drinking. I couldn't find. I didn't have a Spider-Man 3 cup, but I did have a Amazing Spider-Man 2 cup.
They're in a race for the bottom of what's the worst Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I would definitely say they're. I wouldn't even say neck and neck. This is definitely the worst one.
Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, by far.
At least has Emma Stone. It's the only saving grace I can give it.
Yeah, because just like general thoughts on Spider-Man 3 is it's not as bad as I remember it being. But that's not an endorsement of the movie.
Which is odd because it's worse than I remember it being.
Really? Like,
yeah.
When I was watching it yesterday, also I watched it, instead of just rewatching the movie, I watched it with the director's commentary, which also has some of the cast coming in and out with it. So, that wasn't as bad as that.
I think that may have poisoned your thought process on it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe that made it a little bit more enjoyable. Yeah.
Because then you can get a little bit more of what they're going for, and I'm just going off of what is on the screen.
Well, one thing's for sure. Sam Raimi really loves Topher Grace.
Does he?
Yeah, there are so much parts in it where whenever he's talking to Topher Grace during the commentary, you can really tell there's some love there.
Interesting. I mean,
and I was like, I like Topher Grace, but it's like there's something about him that he really loved him during the casting process.
So I also like Topher Grace. I think he's very miscast in this movie.
That's for sure.
And especially with how young he is. I mean, it's not like he's super young in 2005, 2006. But he's still not. It's not like he's had this huge catalog of different roles and all these things that he's done. He's played a couple little things, no disrespect to him, but he's played a few small roles, and he's been Eric Foreman. That's what he's done.
That's it.
And to then transition to you're supposed to be. First of all, the character doesn't have much to do anyways, except be a twat. And then to then get you're supposed to be the real big bad of the movie, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, so one of the big takeaways from the commentary that I got from it was originally it was going to be Sandman and the Vulture.
Yes.
The two villains. It was only supposed to be two villains originally.
Yeah.
And it was going to be Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman, which that stuck. And then it was going to be Ben Kingsley as the Vulture.
Interesting, because the studio wanted Venom. That's why Venom exists in this movie. The studio was
that is 100%
was dead set on having Venom. And when they were talking about doing Spider-Man 4, they wanted John Malkovich to do the Vulture.
Okay, yeah. This was pre-script. Yes, because this was when he was talking to Thomas Hayden Church.
Okay.
Sam Raimi and him were talking during the commentary, and Thomas Hayden Church signed up before the script was even written.
Okay.
which is, I mean, that's always a risk for an actor to do.
Yeah, it's not.
But coming off of,
It's not unheard of though, and
yeah,
I
when you're
should
coming
take a
off of
little bit of my.
Spider-Man, when you're coming off of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, and you're coming off of Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, I
Yeah.
think it's a pretty safe bet because that's a really well written villain.
Yes, with the caveat that
Actually, I would say Green Goblin's also a really well written villain.
I'll take back something I was just about to say. They're well written, but they also have classically trained actors behind them that bring a lot of personality to character pieces. And I'm not saying Thomas Hayden Church doesn't have that. He's a magnificent actor. It's more so the do you know what you're getting is a result of the collaboration between two brilliant parties, or are you getting less than product that was turned into gold because of two very, very outstanding actors? That's my only concern with that.
Well, that's a risk that some actors are willing to take.
Right.
So. I should have looked this up beforehand. I'm not sure what the other runtimes are for the other two Spider-Man movies.
I'll look them up
This
now.
one's 2 hours and 20 minutes, which seems a little bit long.
This movie's so bloated. It's so
It feels,
bloated.
yeah, that's the problem. It feels a little bit too long.
Spider-Man, 2 hours 1 minute.
Okay, it's perfect in my opinion.
Spider-Man 2004, 2 hours 15 minutes.
Okay, so it's going on trend, but it also does feel a little bit too long. Yeah.
I so
Okay, but just to cover the box office of it all,
yeah,
um, because that's part of this series, 336 million, which honestly for 2007, actually not that
it's not crazy.
crazy.
It's not crazy.
Yeah, 890 million worldwide though, so it did really well overseas.
Yes.
And then rounding out the top five, you got Shrek the Third, which in second, Transformers,
Yep.
Pirates 3,
Yep.
and then Harry Potter and the Order of the.
I saw all five of those in the theater. So
Really wish we were talking about any of those except Shrek the Third.
yeah, I think I would still take Spider-Man 3 over Shrek the Third. Shrek the Third's bad.
Oh yeah,
It's just
I would.
bad.
Yeah, I would take any of those over Shrek the Third, but I would take Transformers, Pirates 3, or Harry Potter and the Order.
You know you have to be bad if I would take a Transformers movie over you. Dylan can attest. I hate Transformers.
Yeah, but the first one, Transformers, is pretty good.
It's fun. It's a fun
Yeah.
blockbuster. So this is the final note I had. I think it's the best way to sum up my thoughts on this movie. What a mess. Who is this movie for? Like, who is this movie made for? Because you have this feels like studio interference from the fucking jump. It feels like they cobbled 4 different movies together and they just made a thing out of it. The tone's so goddamn weird. The two things I like in this whole movie because of the tone is because they fit the tone. That's it.
Well, part of the problem is that it starts perfectly fine. Like, I have no problem with the first third of this movie. It actually starts exactly like a Spider-Man movie should. It starts exactly like every other Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
I don't think it starts that well, honestly.
It sets up Tobey Maguire. It sets up Spider-Man where he's at with MJ. It sets up a villain and his backstory. Like, that's all it does.
I don't think it
Like,
starts that
there's no
strong.
problems with it.
I have some problems with it.
Okay,
Uh,
so
I
from
just
the
think
start, what's your
I
problem
think
with it?
half the dialogue's fucking brutal.
Okay, well,
It's
that's
brutal.
the problem with the script writer.
And then on top of that, what I have an issue with is
So it's Sam Raimi, his brother writing it.
right, and
Yeah,
they make things I like, so I'm not gonna sit here and
exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, spoilers. One of Sam Raimi's movies is in my top 25 of all time. So I'm not sitting here saying
Mm.
like I don't like Sam Raimi. I think there's just so it's weird because in some ways it feels like this movie went too Sam Raimi, and then in some ways it went too safe down the middle, and then in some ways it feels like it went way too safe what a studio would think people want.
Oh yeah, that's
And
for sure.
there's no cohesion here. And I'm straight off the bat.
Also, I should. One of the really funny things about listening to the commentary is you can tell how frustrated James Franco is during it. Like I don't like James Franco, but he just because all he does is ask questions the whole time.
Yeah.
Just like why did this happen? Why did that
It
happen?
feels like we have to do this on one of every 3 to 5 shows that we have to do, where we have to demonize the deeds of a person and demonize a person while also trying to speak to the art of it all. James Franco has been proven to not be a good dude, and
Yeah, well,
pr-
he's kind
pretty
of a piece of shit.
he's a piece of trash. There's a reason that his friends aren't friends with him anymore, because it's just
Exactly.
they're like, oh, okay, he really is a piece of trash.
And he also became the biggest pretentious asshole.
Very pretentious douchebag. But here's what I will say about this. I haven't gone back and watched Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2 in a long time, but I have no memory of him being this fucking bad in a Spider-Man movie ever. I don't remember seeing a single role of his before where I just went, does he just not fucking care?
That's what I was gonna say. It just doesn't look like he cares at all.
And to be fair, the material he's given fucking sucks. So
Yeah, I
I'm
was
not.
gonna say it doesn't not given much to do in this, which can't blame him. Like the two scenes where he actually does come to life is the two scenes in the commentary where he said he actually had fun, which is where it's revealed that he finally has his memory back, but it's not revealed to Spider-Man that he has his memory back yet. So
Okay.
he at least is playing like a depth deeper than one level, you know?
Right.
So it's like that the scene where he's playing more than like, oh, I lost my memory and now I don't have any.
It's fucking
Like,
brutal.
so it's that cafe scene with
Yes.
uh
That's one of the
Toby
few
and it,
scenes I find tolerable in this movie. The problem is it still has emo Peter in it, where
yeah. Oh my
it's
god, that
fucking intolerable.
eyeliner is just like whenever the eyeliner comes out,
Who
I was like,
who thought this was a good choice? This is what I'm asking. This
yeah.
is why I asked the question, who is this movie for? Who thought these were good choices?
Okay, so we just cover that right away.
We should, because
Okay.
it's I think the linchpin as to why this movie goes from a not that good to this is garbage. This is to me
Yeah.
this is a true, not even to ape the channel. This is a true caravan of garbage to me. Like this movie pisses me off.
Yeah, when the first part when it comes up, I notice Peter emerges.
Yeah,
Like, isn't that a thing on Smash Bros?
a little bit. Yeah.
Like, yeah, and then he does his hair, combs it over.
Mm-hmm.
It and it's not just the fact that his does the stupid thing with his hair and it gets darker. It's the eyeliner that makes it look so dumb.
It feels like someone in the studio discovered YouTube existed, found out that emo bands were getting popular at the time,
That's exactly what it feels like.
And they went, we have to capitalize on this. Not realizing, A, how stupid that is.
And how dated it would become.
And, yes, and then perfect, you're not thinking about anything. I understand. Movies shouldn't be. Very few movies should be thinking about legacy 5, 10, 20 years from now. Outside of the obvious questions of, like, outside of obvious questions of portrayals of race, gender, orientation, all those kinds of things, where you need to ask those questions and you need to think about that because you might be like, oh, it's perfect for the time. And then go, is this going to age well 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to the point where we look so incredibly insensitive that we're just despised and reviled, right? Outside of those questions, most movies cannot ask those questions. They have to be of its time. Hence the reason a lot of the biggest hits that we've had, especially talking about Top 100 going forward, or the one we just did, a couple of the other movies that we've discussed, they're of their time. This is trying so hard to be of its time that it feels like the first thing you threw into a time capsule in 2007 and went, remember that? That shit sucked. It's just not good. Emo Peter. So here's the thing about it. Part of the reason, if you want to go see why emo stuff works, look no further than the classic internet videos at this point of the time of millennials who now can sing all those songs. And they'll be in like a cardigan and a pair of jeans. But they'll sing Dear Maria in 3 seconds and they'll scream, it was never a phase, Mom. It was a lifestyle. Yeah. Because
like
it hit the emotion that the kid was in at the time. It spoke to the person. It didn't speak to the culture.
The thing that I wrote down is I think the whole thing could work if, and this is a big if, because I don't know if it could work ever, but I think it could work, one, if it wasn't Tobey Maguire. He just doesn't have the charisma to pull anything like that off. Like, no matter what, like, if you're gonna show him, like, going past women and, like, doing all the sexy dance moves and being like, ooh, like all the
sexy in quotation marks, yes.
Yeah, like all the girls being like, oh my god, look at that man. Like trying to be a sex symbol and shit. Like, first off, that's not gonna work. Like, I'm sorry, Toby, but that's just not you.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if his transformation was like into like a Rat Pack 50s kind of thing, harkening back to a older style, like that would fit into the old jazz club kind of deal.
Sure, I could even see Brat Pack of the 80s. Go Bender with it. Don't do this shit. That doesn't
fit into the jazz club thing.
I don't think anything fits together anyway, so what's the fucking point?
That's the thing, is I was trying to fit it into the jazz club and like trying to like fit into the some kind of aesthetic that they were going for.
So here's the reason I asked that question right away. This movie,
the whole My Chemical Romance tradition, that's a disaster.
Here's my issue. I've said this multiple times now. Who is this movie for? This movie feels like they're trying to produce 1962 total loser Peter Parker. And like fucking nerd Peter Parker. Okay, if you want to go that route, that's fine.
Oh, also I should say, the reason I turned on the commentary, like the main reason, was to get answers about that whole jazz club scene, and I got no answers about it. Literally none. So I was like, okay, I wanted answers about why is this in the movie?
Yeah.
And they did not answer that.
Yeah. So
all.
We have one. Is this movie for 60s, and I'm talking 60s in the decade, Spider-Man fans, ergo people in their 50s or 60s that read Spider-Man? In the cases that, why did we do the emo route? Why did we do modern stuff? Doesn't work. Number one. Are we trying to make a modern Spider-Man? If you're trying to make a modern Spider-Man, you are now 5 years, I think, at the very least, into the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, where Spider-Man becomes a little bit more fucking cool. Go more that route and do it. And go to where we have some differences. That's fine. But I don't think that's what they were trying to do either. Are we trying to make this a serious movie? If we're trying to make this a serious movie and we're trying to get people that are reliable, if we are trying to get viewers that are reliable money makers and that are going to give us positive word of mouth, why are we doing stupid childish shit like going after an emo audience that's 12 at the time or 13, 14 max and doing it with a character who's a loser because they're not going to find him charismatic, funny, endearing. They're going to think he's a loser, which is what it comes off as. Or are we going for that audience? Because if we're going for that audience, why is the emotional linchpin the fact that Peter and MJ both kind of not cheat on each other, and there's a love triangle between three characters that are all corny and losers? So if that's the point, why are we making that the linchpin of this audience when we should be going more schlock with like, oh, he said bad stuff to me and I'm gonna beat him up like that? Who is this movie for?
Yeah, because the whole emotions of it all does feel very teenager. Like
Sure.
the whole love triangle
So dumb.
and the whole like the love triangle and the whole like yo-yo emotional
Yeah.
journey of Peter really feels teenagery.
Super teenagery.
Because it does not, like, when you watch this as an adult, like, it's like, what is going on, Peter? Come on,
So
get it
I'm gonna be
together a
honest. I
little
can't
bit.
remember the last time I watched Spider-Man 3. I don't think I've watched it in 15 years. If I
Yeah,
have,
exactly.
if I have, it wasn't for long. Maybe
Yeah,
like it was on when I walked into a room or
yeah.
something.
It was on FX.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I can't remember seeking out watching Spider-Man, but through the lens of an
Also,
adult,
I have to point out, I had to spend money on bullshit.
you just how?
Because, first off, I went to the library thinking, maybe they got it. No, I couldn't even rent it for free at the library. So then I went
And you don't
to
have Netflix.
I don't
Okay.
have Netflix, so I had to go to a used like used Blu-ray store, and they had it there. So I was like, fine, I'll get it.
You did that instead of just buying the digital file for like $4.
Well, it was either rent it for $4 or can buy it for $5. So I just bought it on Blu-ray for 5.
Okay, I guess if that's what you wanted to do, I guess.
Yeah. Hey,
But this is who the fuck is this movie
hey,
for?
is that a tax write-off for me?
I think it
Can
should
I
be.
put that as a tax
I
write-off?
think it should be.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it just comes down to who is this movie for? Who is Emo Peter for? Who is this for? Because if he's supposed to be cool, why is he still a fucking loser? But the thing is, you portray him like he's supposed like Emo Peter's scenes, let alone the dumb shit he's doing. But the Emo Peter scenes don't make any sense. Because why is it that when he's around women on the street, it's this whole. They're not giving him positive looks. They're giving him these, like, who the fuck is this guy? You're a
Yeah,
clown. But then when he's with Gwen, and he has this emo confidence Peter, I'll give him the pass on that one because theoretically Gwen already has
some
love it
attraction.
love, affection, attraction, whatever for him because of their pre-existing relationship as students together. I'll give you that one, but it doesn't work well. But then Ursula, the fucking neighbor, why is she all of a sudden into it? Like, oh, he's even cooler now because he's mocking
Yeah,
someone on the phone and he's treating me like shit while he's doing it. That
yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
On the commentary, that was really baffling because there was multiple people saying like, I really like how I can't really tell if the women are into him or if they're repulsed by him. I was like,
That's a problem. That's a
oh, that's a
huge problem.
problem. It's a problem because it's just giving contradictory like you're showing contradictory views there. Like it doesn't make any sense then.
Well, and the other thing is, you're like all these characters
Also,
you're supposed to have an affection for. Uh,
like the whole thing is caused by the
yeah,
symbiote thing, right?
yeah,
Even the emotional journey of Peter is caused by that
right.
logical thing. That's what they're positing.
Yes.
If you're gonna do that, it needs to start way earlier in the movie. That seems to happen like halfway through the movie.
Well, that's the other thing. I think that's one of the issues I have with this movie. The first part is paced like this is a Sandman Spider-Man story, and
Yeah.
MJ and Peter are going to be challenged because Peter is finally getting this recognition he's never gotten, and MJ is getting rejected in a way she's never been gotten before. She never has been before. Okay, is that the movie we're telling? Fine. I'm not crazy about that, but at least it'd be cohesive. Then you're right. Halfway, it's emotional yo-yo Peter who's already getting love and respect from people. That causes him to be more of a prick and people not to like him, theoretically. But it just comes and goes, and it makes no sense.
They introduce the meteorite or whatever pretty early on.
So it's super early on, yeah.
And then by the time it has any effect into the plot, it's pretty late.
If this was,
you completely forget about it. It's like, oh yeah, that's in the movie. Like I was like, what is happening?
We haven't done this much. Specifically you have not done this much, but the beginning of the movie where they are, I have a problem with just being in a spider web. I'll say that in a second, but when they're laying in the park on the web and then the meteorite hits and the symbiote goes onto Peter's little Vespa, that is perfect for a current MCU with Easter eggs. Because you're right, nothing happens for half the movie because of it. So it'd be better just waiting for it got to Peter. And now we gotta wait for Peter's story to see what happens, knowing full well in the back of your head, oh, this is gonna pay off and it's gonna be really cool. Here, you're just waiting for a payoff that doesn't come in any satisfying way for a long time.
Yeah. If you're gonna do that, it should pay off within the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, not within the next 40 minutes.
I can even give you the next 20 if you got something damn good.
Oh,
but I don't want it that long.
Insane.
I don't want it that long either.
It's insane to wait that long.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be different if there's just so many needless things in this movie, and it drives me up the wall. I don't need this Uncle Ben guilt storyline again. I don't think anyone cares. I really don't.
Oh, okay. So that's one thing I actually really do like about the movie. I just think they do it really. So they have what I wrote down is they have all the pieces there for like one central theme, which is forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
They just do it. They just do it in the wrong way because they have the pieces there for it. They have like forgiveness towards Sandman or Uncle Ben. And then they have forgiveness there for MJ and Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have forgiveness in a way for what's Venom's
Eddie Brock, which
Eddie
they
Brock,
don't even say it. They always say Edward Brock Jr. and you're like, just fucking say Eddie Brock. That's what people know.
Yeah, they seem to when he gets taken over by the symbiote, it's in a church.
Yeah.
But they seem to be doing some kind of forgiveness thing there.
Sure. Then, I mean, here's the thing.
But they don't strike it home. That's the problem.
Correct.
So, like, they have all the pieces there. They just don't hit home with them enough. So that's why I'm like, they have all the pieces there. They just don't do it enough, or they don't have it in there at the beginning at all. They don't place it
Yes, I mean, you are
throughout the
correct.
movie.
The theme of the movie is supposed to be about forgiveness, and this is what we're doing.
Also, one question is, throughout this whole movie, does Peter actually ever say to MJ, "I'm sorry"? Does he ever actually say those 2 words? "I'm sorry."
No, this goes back to what movie was it? Maybe it was a Star Wars one. I don't know. Who's likable in this movie? I like two characters in this movie. Two.
I feel really bad for MJ, so I guess she's likable, but
I don't feel bad for MJ at all.
I mean, she's treated like shit in this movie, so I feel bad for her.
So I don't have an. So would have more sympathy for her. My issue with it is she comes off too petulant to me.
That's always kind of been her character, so
And that's what I don't like. That's why I'm. So I should also say this. I'm not a huge Mary Jane Watson fan. I don't want to come off as this comic booky. I always like Gwen Stacy. I didn't start that way, but I've now come around to I think
so
Gwen's a far more compelling character. If here's my issue is part of the reason MJ and Peter work is they're opposites. They're polar opposites. And to then get in terms of what they do, how successful they are, all that kind of stuff. I think the idea on paper of making Peter and Spider-Man specifically more successful and confident and having MJ have a crisis of confidence, I think that's an interesting idea on paper. I just don't think it works well in this, especially with the story you've set up. Because if I were going, I have sympathy for MJ. She loses her job. Okay. I have sympathy for one conversation with Peter where he doesn't really acknowledge her feelings. I don't like that scene. She's like, "Can you just let me feel what I'm feeling," or whatever she says. I think it's obnoxious what Peter's doing, and that's correct. There's a reason that in many relationships, mine included, my wife and I have now gone to this thing where when someone's really struggling with something, be it work or social whatever, and it's not about us, we now ask the question, are you looking for solutions or are you looking for someone to just talk to and listen? Because those are two very different conversations. And Peter's trying to like solve problems to be like, "Oh, cheer up." Right? And that's not what she's looking for. She's looking for someone to listen to her and understand her feelings. So, A, get some couples counseling because it's good stuff. Or, have a couples conversation about what you want. But beyond that, it just continues. And Peter's always been this way. So it's one of those that like you can get frustrated by it, but a lot of the times it's this like they do these moments too quickly where Peter's having something really good happen and MJ's not, and then magically she's always just like pissy about it. And it feels more like, oh, it's a jealousy thing as opposed to I'm down on my luck and it sucks. And I'm not saying that's not real. Like there are real feelings of if your partner's really doing well or your best friend's doing really well and you're not, natural jealousy is going to occur, and I'm fine with that. But I don't think this movie does a good job making her a sympathetic character and making an audience actually give a shit.
well, I completely agree with that.
And then the
I'm
other
just
thing
saying
is
she is
like,
treated like shit.
she's not treated well. And the other thing is this is it's not necessarily fair, and I think this speaks to a larger problem in movies in general or society in general. The fact that she essentially initiates a kiss with his best friend before anything Peter does is enough where you're like, ooh, not a good like if they went the emo route early like you're suggesting and Peter started doing this whole like, oh, I'm getting attention and I did the upside down kiss because I wanted to do it, not because I thought it'd be a great PR thing for Spider-Man or whatever. and he was doing it out of the emo shit, and she was felt like she was getting pushed out because of it, and then she does it, I'd be like, you know what? Not cool, but I understand it more. But the fact that I just want company, starts dancing with him and then immediately tries to kiss him, you're like, and? Am I supposed to feel
I
anything for you in this one? Because I don't.
Eating in movies is always one of those things where I'm like, people always do it in movies. Like, it's always just brushed off as like one of those things that is just like whatever. Like
I mean, yes.
it's no,
You're
it's funny in
correct,
movies.
yes, but
It's funny in movies how often it's supposed to be one of those things that is just overlooked as completely nonchalant.
sure.
Like I just watched The Family Stone for the first time, and like there's two relationships in that movie where they're together, and like it's funny how you're just supposed to completely overlook that they're cheating on each other. So pretty hilarious
I
how
just,
nonchalant you're supposed to be about the whole
I like,
thing.
who am I supposed to have sympathy for? I understand I'm supposed to have sympathy for MJ. I kind of don't because she seems more petulant child about it than she
I like
does.
Aunt May.
Okay, fine. I'll increase my characters to 3 that I like. But this should tell you the problem. I don't like a single hero. I don't like the middle ground anti-hero. In not even really, he just comes around at the end, really. I hate James Franco's character. I don't really care for either villain.
Like his I like his butler.
I'm not even crazy about Vernon either. I'm not crazy about him either. Only 2 characters I like are Bruce Campbell's cameo as the French restaurant manager, maitre d, whatever the fuck his name
Sure.
is. I like
The
him because it's Bruce Campbell in a Sam Raimi movie.
the forced in cameo that you have to have.
You have to have it, and I'm here for it. Take a wild guess what Sam Raimi movie's in my top 100, folks. But and 2, I like Ursula. I like the neighbor Ursula. I like that's the only thing. She's one of the only the two characters that I genuinely like are those
I like
2.
Cliff Robertson.
Oh, are you
Cliff
talking?
Robertson.
Oh, are you talking about
It's
J. Jonah Jameson's guy?
no, no, Uncle Ben.
I mean, but he doesn't count. He doesn't
Yes,
count.
he does. He's in this movie.
No, but it's part of a flashback. I don't really give a shit.
Hey, he filmed stuff for this movie. It's original material for the movie.
Fine,
It counts.
fine, fine, whatever. I
Also, this is his last movie.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
guess it makes sense. He's
it was funny because I was like, because it's been so long since I've watched one of these movies of this trilogy. I was like, man, I really recognize that guy. And then I was like wrapping my brain. I was like, man, I recognize that face. And then I went on his IMDb, and then I looked it up, and it was in a movie from 1968 called Charlie that I just watched that he won an
okay.
Oscar for. He won Best Actor, where he plays like a simpleton who becomes a genius because like some miracle drug. It's
Huh.
yeah, it's this weird movie where yeah, he's like it's funny because it's weird when you see a actor play someone who's really really stupid
Sure.
and they win an Oscar for it.
I guess. Yeah.
It's just not every day you see a role like that critically acclaimed.
Fair. Very, very fair. It is odd to say that, nonetheless. You're correct.
Yeah, I think it's based on a play like Flowers for Algernon or something like that.
Wait, what?
So I think that's what it's actually called. the story. It's not called Charlie because there's a rat in it called Algernon or
Oh.
something like that. Yeah. Back to the movie though.
Back to the movie though. Yeah, just
My next note is actually about James Franco's butler.
sure.
I found out during the commentary that that's Bill Paxton's dad.
I still really.
Yeah, I was like, hey, nice,
Hey, it
cool.
was a family week at my house then because I finally watched Aliens. So,
Right, told me that.
and I wasn't wildly impressed with Bill Paxton in that movie, but nonetheless.
Also, let's talk about that scene with the scene of the
This.
proposal. That's a tacky proposal.
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. Again, my questions come back to who is this movie for? Right? Because of this. Peter Parker is fucking lame. Okay,
Okay, I just want to talk about the proposal itself.
sure.
It's fun. It's funny because Bruce Campbell is funny,
Correct.
but the proposal itself is like the most basic, lame. Like, could you come up with anything less original than that? Oh, drop it in some champagne. Oh, how'd that get there? Like, that's some bullshit right there. If I was a girl and someone proposed like that, I'd be like, really? That's the
Really?
most original thing you got?
Really? Yeah. Sadly, there are people that would love that proposal still, but
I'm sure there are, but still, that's like that's some
that's some
that's
bullshit.
some that's some proposal 101 class shit.
Proposal 101 class shit is what you just said.
Yeah, like
Sure.
I don't know. There's nothing original about that. And the only reason that scene works is because Bruce Campbell's funny.
Oh yeah, the only thing that's awesome about that is Bruce Campbell. That's it.
Yeah, I mean the reason that scene works is because the cutaway
Oh yeah. No, that
from Bruce Campbell.
again, so I'm sorry, I've been slightly distracted doing something, but to finish a point, you're correct. The proposal sucks, and I think what they're trying to get if they were just trying to tell me Peter's a fucking loser, and that's it, and he's a lovable loser, and that's why we should go with him. I wouldn't agree with that take, but I could maybe get behind it. Because even the proposal, you're just like, it's very paint by numbers,
Yes.
and
Expect more from you.
right, especially he's theoretically an artist too. He's a photographer.
Yeah, that's true. Wait, isn't he a scientist?
Yes, here's the problem. He's a fucking scientist who's a photographer for a living. He should have some fucking creativity. And also, if
Wait, wait,
Spider-Man,
wait, 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 wait. Is he a scientist though?
theoretically, yeah. Not as much in these movies, but he is, yes. He's still, like, here's the thing. Why is he with Dr. Connors? Also, what fucking collegiate professor gets a weird organism like a symbiote and just says, "Oh yeah, Peter, just don't touch it and I'll take care of it." And doesn't talk about other sources, doesn't bring other people on, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, my student found this." Makes no sense. No, there's so many plot holes in this movie. It drives me up the fucking wall.
Oh, I never thought about this. It's been a long time since I've seen the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Either of those movies. Is he a photographer in either of those movies?
Yes.
'Cause he's a scientist in those.
Yes.
I do remember that. So is he working for the Daily Bugle as well?
Nobody's always like taking pictures around stuff, especially in the first one. Um,
Okay.
and does he work for the Bugle? I'm not sure. That movie's such a mess that I just
I remember the first one being okay. I just don't remember
The
the
first
second one. I
one's
remember being total shit.
the second one's bad,
Yeah.
bad. The Yeah, Peter's supposed to be a fucking photographer, working for the Bugle, but also a scientist. They take some of the science element out of it because he's supposed to make his own web fluid, but because they give it to him as this like natural mutation thing because of the spider bite. Okay, fine, but it's no creativity whatsoever. Not going to take her to a high place that only you could get to because you're Spider-Man. You're not going
That'd be good. Yeah. What? Come on, Peter.
to
Take it to like the top of the Empire State Building or something.
just do something. Just do something other than that. And that scene is written sadly, and this is one of the reasons why cameos can be distracting. I'm all here for that cameo. There's 1,000 ways to put Bruce Campbell in these movies. If that scene's written for Bruce Campbell, that scene's not written for the movie.
That's very true. Yeah.
That scene is written so we can
I
have
will say
Bruce have
though.
some fun. It's not for the forwarding of the movie to make it this endearing thing.
Yeah.
Like, the other thing is, if you want to tell me how bad of a place that MJ's in, go for the throat. Have her turn down Peter.
Yeah. Well, the thing I was about to say is, I will say I really like at that first action set piece between Peter and James Franco. I don't even know what to call him. The Hobgoblin? Is
I think
that
in
what
the
he's supposed
credits,
to be?
he's credited as the new Goblin, which
Okay.
is dumb, but whatever. He's
Well, the
theoretically a
fir-
new Green Goblin, so it'd be a Green Goblin.
I like that they added in that little part that like Peter's whole thing is that he's actually just trying to get that ring and not that he's trying to fight.
Sure.
Like I really like that part of it. It's just the rest of the scene looks like garbage because like the
CGI doesn't
whole
hold up well.
it doesn't hold
I
up.
have a lot
It's
of beef
just
with these action scenes. It's just like we haven't really resolved anything, and I think it's a good conclusion of discussion of this movie because the movie doesn't resolve a thing.
well,
What new ground has been broken?
what do you want to say about any of these scenes,
What new
honestly?
what in what ways are the characters pushed forward? And I don't want to hear, well, Harry dies. It's like, okay, he was essentially dead to us anyways already.
First off, I forgot he dies at the I was like, that's really unfulfilling
Hmm.
for his character. 'Cause he for one, his the character turnaround was like
One scene.
yeah, it happened so fast
Mm-hmm.
in an instant
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like that should have happened over a couple scenes at least.
Yeah, well, that's so funny. Why do so
He should
many
have been
movies?
he should have been wrestling with that decision of like, okay, do I really still care about Peter? Like, 'cause he should have known about the fact that his dad died by his own like blade or whatever that the
Yeah,
hover board, whatever the fuck you
glider.
call
Yeah,
it.
whatever it is.
Yeah. He should have known that for a couple scenes at least, not for 10 seconds before he decided that. At least that would give us some time in between.
Also, if you're gonna build it up for tension, it's clear that he cares for Mary Jane. Maybe too selfishly, but he cares.
Yes.
Have Peter go to him and say, "I need your help," and he'll say no. Then have him show up, and the whole time he's cold to Peter, and he doesn't really help him. And then at the end, make the sacrifice, because then you go, in the split second, he decided he still cared about his friend. But when he comes in
Sure.
just like, haha, buddy, Grab
Yes, and
on.
also
It sucks. God, it
and
sucks.
also if you're gonna go that route, that he's doing it for Mary Jane, you can't have him choke her out at one.
Yeah.
Like he full on like puts her in a stranglehold.
Oh, I know. Here's my issue is, again, this takes the movie of challenging your perception on your characters way too far. Way too far. In ways that are unfulfilling and do
And
not make sense. If you
and that
want
could
to,
be like it could be the 2007 of it all. Like maybe people overlook that. It could be like
maybe,
this is pre two. This is pre Me Too and all that. So like,
but here's my issue. I really don't have an issue as long as it's not too gratuitous. Even in a Me Too era, I don't have an issue with a villain doing something despicable. That's the whole point. Is they do
sure,
something you
but
don't want.
if he's going to make a decision like that, please have a thought about
Right.
something that extreme.
Yes, and that's fine, and I understand your logic there. But there's no one to root for here. I don't care if Spider-Man wins. I don't care. Because I don't care about Peter. He's a fucking loser. But beyond that, like, let's just say all I have going for me is that he is Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is good, therefore I should root for Spider-Man. But the whole movie has been tearing him down to where he's not fun, likable,
Yes.
redeemable, anything like that.
So that's one of the thing I want to point out is that I think he's too unlikable way too far into the movie
Yeah.
because I wrote it down. The first appearance of Venom, which is essentially like the last appearance of unlikable Peter,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. That's that's at an hour and 44 into the movie.
Way too long.
That is into a 2 hour and 19-minute movie. That's pretty late.
Well, the other thing is I don't want to get too cheesy about this or too cute because I think this could be too cute. But I think it would
And
be
I
better
think the
than what they
last action
did.
yeah, and I think the last action sequence is at least 20 minutes.
I don't know. It feels like it goes by really quickly, and yet it feels like it's too long. I'm not sure.
But you also have to account for credits too. So
Right. I'm not sure. I love. There's a one line that I kind of dig if it was done properly, when emo Peter like pushes Eddie up against the picture and like cracks his head up against the picture. When he's confronting him for being a fraud, he's like, "You want forgiveness? Seek religion or whatever." I think it's a nice tie that they end up like Fallen Angel Spider-Man. That's a cool look at the church, especially in some of the Gothic cathedrals that still exist in New York. That's a cool.
sure.
That's a cool look, and I think that's
Yeah.
good. And that's the one of the only things I like about it because it's stripped straight out of a comic book, but it makes sense that this is an eternal place where even people such as ourselves that are not just neutral about religion, we both actively don't like religion.
Yes.
And yet we can get behind movies that have church as a good thing or have a church as a place of solace or a good place, right? We don't just magically say like we don't like religion, ergo anything religion is automatically bad all the time, no matter what. Go that route a little bit. Now, a better route is if you can use Daredevil, because that'd be even better and a great tie-in for Marvel. But nonetheless, I'm not saying that. But
That's an interesting question. Who was did, who was he owned by at the time?
Daredevil's owned by Fox at the time. But beyond
Okay.
that, you don't need it. It's just a cool tie-in. But the other thing is this: is if that is a good
Marvel was such a fucking mess.
I mean, that's what happens when you bankrupt your company and you don't have options, but that's a different story for a different time. It would be really interesting for us to just do the studio warfare over Marvel properties. That's literally episodes by itself because of not thinking about anything, especially with Marvel wanting to be the big crossover. Meanwhile, DC has zero issues like that. Outside of,
It,
I don't think they have any
other
film
than
issues.
other than creative bankruptcy.
Yeah, yeah, sort of. But with Marvel, with this movie specifically, I like that tie to if you want to go that route, go that route. Peter's never been shown to be a religious person. If you want to show Peter to the extremes, that's two movies. There's a whole ramp up of him embracing Black Suit Spider-Man symbiote, and at the end you're going, do I really root for Spider-Man anymore? Like, he's gotten pretty vicious and pretty bad. And then the
Sure.
next one starts and he does something and he crosses the line. Maybe he doesn't cross it
Yes.
fully, but he crosses it to the point where you just go, whoa. And then the whole time, then he's Black Suit Spider-Man for a good portion of the movie and he's fighting
Yes.
himself and he's not. And then at the end, or midway through, rips it off and like a whole act of the movie is him just trying to seek redemption. And you
Yes.
see
And they
Peter still
do
there.
and they do have a actually a good scene of that with Aunt May says where she says, "Oh, Spider-Man doesn't kill people."
Yeah.
Where Peter tells May that Spider-Man died.
Yeah.
Like, I like that scene. It's just it's a
It,
good scene
it's
in a
surrounded by a mess. I will say
yes.
there's is that the same scene? I don't think it's the same scene. Yeah, it's after that. There's another scene where Aunt May comes to visit Peter in his apartment, and I love
That's much later.
and the cinematography in that's great. Where it's really focused on Peter, and it's like mentally back here, May is kind of there, but she's blurred out intentionally because it's she's always there in the background for him, but does her voice really actually matter at this point? And he's like trying to figure it out for himself. That I love. That's a great scene, cinematography wise as well. But again, we have a few collections of scenes that are good, and a movie with nobody like. I'm just gonna run through some of my notes quick, just running them. Beginning with Peter being bullied is
Yep.
fucking dumb.
Go for
He's
it.
no longer in high
I
school.
have I no longer have any notes.
So I have Gwen Stacy, math whiz. Huh?
Ooh, actually, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Was Gwen Stacy, if this was supposed to go on longer as a series,
Yeah.
was Gwen Stacy supposed to be the girl going forward?
I don't think so.
Like, I don't know what their intent were with her.
But here's my other issue: is what makes no sense to me. Again, is one, Gwen Stacy is the foundational piece to Peter becoming who he is. It's the loss of Gwen. You want to skip over that and go straight to Mary Jane and give Mary Jane some of Gwen Stacy's traits? Okay, fine. I understand it. It's Hollywood. We're gonna get to where we're gonna go. This is textbook old comic book movies that do not have respect for the source material. If this Gwen Stacy is not part of your future, which clearly it's not by the end of the movie, and I'm talking
Sure,
about the
yeah.
last jazz scene where they reunite, right? If
Yeah.
Gwen is not that, why is that character Gwen Stacy? Because it's not Gwen Stacy and it doesn't fucking matter. Or you make her a true threat to Mary Jane and have Gwen be there when MJ isn't for Peter, where he has to truly question like, do I
Yes.
go, do I go away, or do I
Yeah.
stay with? And there's nothing there to do that. So either don't make that character Gwen Stacy, make that a random character, or another rando character from Marvel that Peter's had a fling with but doesn't have that much history with,
Yeah. I thought
or do
was
it right.
I don't know if they were going for this and it just didn't succeed or if they just didn't even think about it was maybe they were going for Gwen is there when One is there for Peter when MJ isn't there, and then I can never remember James Franco's name. I'll just say James Franco is there.
Harry Osborn.
Harry is Harry is there for MJ when Peter isn't.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what they were going for, maybe, but they didn't succeed with that. If
Well, the
that's
other
what they
thing
were
is
going,
to tie back to another issue that we've been kind of circling again. MJ strays first to Harry, someone you already distrust in this franchise, because you know for a fact he's getting his memory back. Every audience member knows he's getting his memory back.
Besides that, you already see him as a villain prior to him losing his.
Exactly. Nobody trusts him. And MJ goes to him. And you know MJ doesn't know that, but an audience member does. So an audience member is either going to think that's a tragedy and she shouldn't have done it, or what the fuck? Why are you doing that as a betrayal?
So
Peter, when he's being a prick, the only thing I like about that Gwen Stacy stuff that makes is the slight little bit of logic of I've been hurt by my best friend and the person I love the most in this world, and they've taken my relationship away from me when I'm at a low point. And I'm going to use somebody else to try to get back at her. And I'm going to do it at the height of the symbiote. That is the only thing of logic I like. I don't like how the scene goes down. It's a stupid scene. But I like the logic.
That's an understatement.
I like the logic behind I'm going to go see this girl and take her to this place where my ex-girlfriend, theoretically, is at her low point, and I'm going to shove it in her face that I have this new girl that she's already jealous of.
Yeah.
Zero issue with the logic. Love that. Just the scene sucks. And the same time, you don't blame... You only half blame Peter at that point. Because it's one of the few times he does something with the symbiote and you're like, yeah, okay.
Well...
I don't like it. I think he's still a shithead.
I don't know if I agree with you there, but...
I can see the logic. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I can see the logic.
But the thing I was going to ask is, does Harry not see, just from the start of this movie, that his dad was a villain? Like,
no. He always thinks of him as like a good guy, but it makes no sense because he has tension with him all the time.
But he has found his dad's, like, what I'll call a lair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the pumpkin bomb. He's the glider.
Oh, I know. It's another reason. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He comes out of the little, like,
He attacks New York. He attacks New York multiple times. Yeah, and it's covered by the news. It's not like it's a random, like it happens at the Thanksgiving Day parade and shit like that. Like it makes no sense.
And he comes out of the same like gas, like incubation chamber thing.
Yeah.
As his dad came out of that corrupted. Like, does he not see that that's the same exact thing that happened to him that made him a villain?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so dumb.
That's what baffled me was like, does Harry not understand that his dad was the villain? And that's why Spider-Man ultimately fought him?
Yeah, no, it makes
no sense to me.
It makes no sense, and that's why Harry's not redeemable to me either. And then he's a fucking corny loser, like throughout. I'm just gonna read my notes quick, because I want you to see how many notes I had that were positive and negative. Okay. Gwen Stacy, math whiz, huh? Makes no sense. It's not because it's a woman. It's because why? Like what? What about this is good for this? Beginning with Peter being bullied is fucking dumb. He's already past high school. Shit doesn't happen in college. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Some of this dialogue is rough. Laying on spiderweb in the park. Subtle. Like, my secret identity is so important, so I'm going to lay in a park in the middle of the most populous city in the world, specifically this country too, and I'm gonna do it in a spider web that can only be
Oh,
known as Spider-Man
actually,
did it.
speaking of the most populous city, I have one actually. I forgot I have one other note, and that's in a city of 8 million people. Why can't MJ look past these two people that she met in high school? Like, does she really think these duds of people are?
Yeah, good
Does
point.
she does she think these two people are the best she can do?
So the funniest part is this is visiting New York, there truly is like a neighborhood thing to it with the borough system and everything. But yeah, it's also one of the few cities where you can disappear just to the other side of the city, and it's truly like. Do you remember that episode of Seinfeld when they're talking about area codes? And someone gets a new area code and it means they have to like cross a bridge or something for them? And
Yes,
they're
yeah,
like, undateable. Can't do it.
yes.
Too far. That's what New York is like. And if you.
But it's like you met these two people in high school.
Yeah.
You really think this is the best you can
And
do?
you're now surrounded by talented Broadway people and other things.
Like, I was like, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Like,
so,
you
exactly.
can do better than this. Come
So again,
on.
how much sympathy am I supposed to have for her? That goes
Sure,
to
Harry is money. Maybe that's what you can use him for, but that's about it.
okay. CGI is tough in the alleyway sequence.
Oh yeah, that.
Sandman
What
sequence racked with
does she?
problems. Rush to the
What,
nines.
can I just ask which CGI are you
All the
specifically?
buildings. The stuff on
Uh,
them themselves are not
like
that bad. It's the buildings flashing by and it looks so bad.
the very narrow sequence.
Yeah, when Harry loses his memory.
Uh, it's got very King Kong where
Yes.
they're like doing the dinosaur. Yeah, that's bad.
Also, I must say this about every action scene: way too many crashes into pipes and other stuff, where it's like boom, and we flip onto something else, and it's like
Yeah.
it's cartoony
It's
and it's stupid, and I hate it.
I was gonna say they rely on a lot of like CGI doubles, which at the time probably really were revolutionary and really probably were a-okay and like probably really look good.
Yeah,
But
you can see through the
yeah.
cracks way too much in this movie, and I
Yeah,
understand it's a
it's
movie
just
from
like
2007. It's almost 20 years old now. I get it.
it's just like Revenge of the Sith, which we talked about last time, where it just does not age well,
Yeah, but
unfortunately.
the CGI isn't the problem in Revenge of the Sith. like
That's true.
yeah, like,
Yeah. Well,
and
the
that's my
CGI really isn't the problem here either.
uh, in the fight scenes. I have some issues with it. Then the origin of the Sandman when he falls into the pit, dumb, hate it. But then the origin
Okay,
sequence where they
wait,
reveal
wait, wait, wait.
Sandman. Continue.
You, I, you speak about a scene that I have absolutely no problems with, and I think is actually like perfect. Once where the Sandman comes to life.
I do have an issue with it, but it's a great scene. I have one issue with it.
Okay, what's your issue?
The music makes him sound more like a tragic hero than a villain until the very end, and that's my issue with it.
I don't think I don't think he is a villain though.
I agree, but then the movie wants to make him out to be later. So that's my issue is it's not cohesive with the rest of the vision. I like the real like I think the Sandman is the most endearing character in this movie in terms of the arc that was given to us. I don't like the arc, but at least he has motivation. You understand it from the get-go. You believe him when he says stuff. It just so happens he does bad things to do things. Fine.
Yeah.
But then the music to it
Yes.
makes it this like so tragic that you want to root for the guy to the point where it's like heroic and you're rooting for him. Not even
Yeah.
like a, hey man, I understand you, but you can't do this. I understand you, but you can't
I
do that.
I really like the music in it, and I really love that scene. Like, I really love when he's reaching for
The
the
locket
little
and he can't pick it up at
the
first.
locket. Yeah, I really love that.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Only problem I have with the Sandman, like, what's the cartoonish, like the 60, like 50 portrayal of him, like, as like a 50s, 60s, like robber,
Yeah,
like with the striped shirt, and he's like carrying like literal bags of money.
yeah,
Like, how more cartoony could you get with a villain?
yeah. That's
Like,
not great.
that's like as cartoony as it gets as a villain.
Yeah, so I'll continue, but yes, you're dead on with that. If you want to see good Spider-Man that like this movie series was going for, just watch the 1994 animated series. It's 10 times better. Horrid intro for Eddie Brock. What a prick. You immediately know you're not supposed to root for him, but here's the
Some
problem.
people disagree with you. Everyone on the commentary.
Well, everyone on the commentary is wrong. I don't care if they made the movie or not, they're wrong. So here's the issue I have with this.
And you know who will agree with you? Just about everyone who reviewed and watched the movie.
Correct, so I think I'm in the right. The issue I have with it is it doesn't portray Eddie as delusional. It portrays Eddie as a total fucking liar and prick. But then if you are supposed to have even the modicum of sympathy that you're supposed to have for him in that in a couple scenes later where he takes shortcuts but he gets what he wants and things, or like there's no weight to him saying later on, you stole the girl in my dreams, my future wife.
That didn't make any sense.
Right. When he's saying that as like a liar at first, where he's like, oh, that, and like he sees more into this relationship than there actually is. I'm fine with that as a character flaw. But then when he's
He just
saying it,
set that up.
I know that. But then when he says it to like Spider-Man, like, you took my girl from me and all this stuff, it's like when you saw her hanging out of a building and met her father at the same time, your first thing was, "Hi, I'm Edward Brock Jr. I'm also dating your daughter." Click, click, click. I hope she's okay. Who's gonna
So,
believe you? Show
so
some
I
concern. Show some
okay.
real shit here.
Admittedly, I did miss that line.
It's
I'm dating.
He says, "Oh, I'm dating your daughter," and like slinks back out of his gaze and takes more pictures. He shows no care for her whatsoever.
Okay. Oh, by the way, Bryce Dallas Howard pregnant while filming that.
Interesting.
Didn't know it at the time,
I
but
don't, I don't dislike Dallas Howard in this movie. I just think she's given shit, so
yeah. I
she's fine.
mean,
I'm not saying
that's that's how I feel about her in almost every movie she's been in. Like, I feel bad for her as an actress. I'm like, everything you're in is
I like her in Jurassic World. That's about it.
even in that. I'm like, doing that movie.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. I know, and I'm still not crazy about
Like,
it.
I just feel like as an actress, she's really bad at picking projects for herself.
Which is wild because her dad's good at picking projects.
It's true. She should just be like, "Hey, Dad, what are you working on? I'll be in that."
Well, also Ron Howard's like tangentially connected to Spielberg and George Lucas and like that whole
Yeah.
crew that are all like mythic level directors. Just, I'm sorry, play the nepotism card once.
True. Although, admittedly, they're not great at women in their movies. So,
I'm not saying that that would be perfect, but it'd be a lot better than being in Spider-Man 3 as the side character
or
or
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, all this stuff. Like, I'm just going through my notes here. I'm now putting check marks into anything that could be construed as positive.
Yeah, I'm sure she got a great paycheck for Jurassic World.
Yes. Okay.
or Jurassic World Dominion, or whatever the fuck the third one was called.
Yes. I have I have two positive comments about this entire movie. That's it. One of which is J. Jonah Jameson scenes are still kind of fun because they fill time in a fun way, I guess. Oh,
I
I'm sorry, three. Bruce Campbell still works for me. Fits the cheese-tastic tone of this movie. I'm fine with it. J. Jonah Jameson fits the cheesy tone. I'm okay with it. Bruce Campbell fits the cheesy tone. I'm okay with it. Ursula fits the cheesy tone. I'm okay with it. That's it.
oh, can I point out something that straight up does not work for the cheese?
Sure.
Elizabeth Banks and Peter Parker
In
at
his
like
emo phase or
30.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why would she like him? I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I know. And again, it's part of the do you understand this or not? It makes no sense.
Yeah, because I was like,
Oh, I'm sorry. Four. My apologies because I did write a note about the unfocused shot about Aunt May. So that's four positive comments in my notes.
yeah,
There's just so much
I love,
dumb
I love
melodrama.
Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah.
It's just that didn't make any sense to me. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
what's
This
going
this
on here?
cast is low key loaded, and
That's true.
and you
It
do
is.
nothing with it. James Franco
Yeah.
has won a fucking Oscar or been nominated for Oscars, man, and you do nothing with him. You have Toby
Well, you
Maguire.
have Oscar winners.
You've
J.K.
Toby.
Simmons has won an
Yeah,
Oscar.
you have J.K. Simmons. Kirsten Dunst has good work in her past. It feels like they just said, play really petulant, like in Interview with the Vampire 13 years ago in this movie.
Oh, also, I should say, Kirsten Dunst is another person in the commentary who just seems completely fucking over it.
Oh, yeah, because she knows this movie sucks.
Because that's the other note. That's the one other note I have is originally in the final scene, it's originally supposed to be Gwen instead of MJ, supposed to be in peril.
Really?
And I was like, that doesn't make fucking any sense at
It
all.
does if you're
First
going with
off,
your if you're going with your Elseworlds question of who's the future.
but it also doesn't if you're going to include James Franco's character.
True. So again,
Yeah, because I was
stupidity.
like,
This
that
movie's
didn't make
so
any sense at
bad.
all.
God, I'm gonna be
Um,
honest. This entered territory into which I
but
might
like,
have to rewrite this fucking movie for this
so
podcast.
like,
God damn.
so
I got so mad
Kirsten,
watching this movie.
yeah, Kirsten Dunst in the commentary says, "I almost got away scot free." She says that exact line while in the commentary because she was like, "Oh, I almost got away scot free from having to like film any of the final sequence." She did. She was like, "Oh, it was almost Gwen and not MJ in the final sequence of filming." I was like, "Wow, yeah, she's done with this fucking shit.
She's
She
done.
does not want to be in this." So
Not in this
I don't
product.
blame her.
I
I
don't blame
don't
her
know.
anyways. I'd be
Yeah,
embarrassed to be in this movie. That's how bad this got for me.
I, and that's the thing is, I don't think it's the worst movie that we've seen in terms of like the big box office.
I I'm not sure. I'm truly honest. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's as bad as Phantom.
I want to agree with you. I really do. But there's at least some stuff in Phantom Menace I can find watchable. I didn't find a single thing in this movie watchable outside of 10 minutes, maybe? Where Phantom Menace, at least the last action pieces are kind of fun. And I can watch that. I can watch Duel of the Fates over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think the biggest sin a movie can have to me is being just straight up boring.
Yeah,
And that's what Phantom Menace is to me.
Okay.
Like, it's just straight up boring.
Okay.
Like
By your standard, I could understand this. Because I'm going to be honest,
like
because we just covered it, I think I like Revenge of the Sith more than I like Spider-Man 3. I think there's more redeemable traits
that's
in
a tough
Revenge of the
choice.
Sith. And it's
Yeah, that's a
bad
really
because you heard me come on and go, this movie's a lot worse than I remember it being. So it's
yeah.
a similar case here. The
Yeah,
only two
if that was a heavyweight matchup, that'd be a really close fight.
that'd be a
Like
real close one.
yeah,
I
cuz I
do
was
say
like
this. I want to at the end of this series. I want us to stack rank these big box office movies,
yeah.
and I'm guaranteeing you, this is a bottom 5 contender. Maybe not bottom 5 because I need to see the rest of the list to confirm that, but it's certainly a contender. I only want to cover two
I
other
would
things
agree.
here.
It's definitely like in the bottom, but I think it's like I don't know redeeming qualities to say that it's not the bottom. No.
I mean, yeah, we still have Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen to cover, dude.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that's true.
and we've covered
Yeah,
Star Wars: The Phantom Menace and Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. Trust me, it's still a discussion. It's still a debate.
and we haven't watched that Bad Boys, whatever Bad Boys
Yeah,
that
we haven't
is.
watched that Bad Boys for Life or whatever it is. Yeah, we haven't watched
I
that
don't
one.
know which Bad Boys it is. Four,
Yeah, probably.
3, 4.
There's
I
only
don't know.
there's only two other things I want to mention. First of all, in the scene where it's emo Peter confronting Eddie, where he starts, "You're trash, bruh." One of the most unintentionally funny things I've ever heard in my life because it's so bad. And I want to use that line in every day of my life because it's so bad it's funny to me. And that's not where you want your Spider-Man franchise to be, in so bad it's funny territory. That that sequence, that scene, but specifically that line is so bad it's funny. You're trash, bro. Like, it's so bad. And then
I
honestly,
think that's actually a good line.
I don't think it's a no, it's a bad
It's
line. Don't
funny. It's
it's
funny.
it's funny, but it's not for the right reasons. And I do want to say this. Do you want to know the worst part about this movie for me? The newscast sequences during the final action set pieces.
Why is she British?
It's truly, it feels like, I have the note here.
Why is she British?
Did Sam Raimi just quit on this movie? Because it feels like they're 30 minutes away from the final set piece, and then it's news bulletin. Venom and Sandman doing bad things. Abducted somebody. We must get to the end. Wrap up 20 minutes of content in one
It's almost,
scene.
it's almost like the studio's like, dude, we ran out of VFX money. Gotta cut to something.
Newscast is so stupid, almost known as runtime control. I legitimately wrote that note down because it's so bad. And then,
Yeah.
when that woman, it's not her fault. She's playing the part that she was given. I'm not saying she's good, bad, or
Ooh, the
indifferent.
British?
But
British
when
girl?
she says, "It seems like when all the city lost hope, Spider-Man arrived," I was like, in all the time we've been doing this podcast, and I think all the time I've been watching movies, I'm quite confident to say in my memory, I don't know if I've ever heard a more tell and not show scene in my life than "it seems just when the city was about to lose hope, Spider-Man has come to fight." And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Was this written by a 9-year-old? Like, it's so bafflingly bad.
Also,
Who thought this was a good idea? See, this is what I'm talking about. Revenge of the Sith doesn't piss me off like this movie does.
eh. See, I agree. I disagree there, but I did have one thought during that final
It's
sequences.
so fucking bad.
There's one image where Spider-Man shows up in that final sequence where the American flag is behind. And I was like, simpler times. Simpler times. If you did that nowadays, There'd be so many like
there's one character that
Reddit
can get away
threads.
with
There'd
it,
be
and
so
it's
many.
there's one character that can get it, and it's Captain America, simply because he's already wearing the flag, and people are like, tracks.
Yeah. There'd be so many Reddit threads and so many like online forums about like what are the filmmakers trying to say about this? Like
Oh yeah, oh
nowadays,
yeah.
never do that. But yeah, in 2007, you do that.
I mean, it's
You
only
show us
we're
Spider-Man with the
we're
American
6 years
flag.
post 9/11. Oh, trust me, they were like, oh, this is gonna work.
Back in the day, you could show Spider-Man with the American flag behind him, and you weren't trying to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's great.
Also,
It's funny.
are funerals exclusively? Do they exclusively happen in the rain?
Yes, of course.
And also, why are
You
half
have
the
to.
why are half the people at that funeral at that funeral?
Oh,
Like,
also Joe Manganiello, you see him?
no,
His little cameo?
no, but that adds to it. Why is he there?
Because he's a bully at the high school.
But,
So obviously, he was friends with
but
James Franco.
why is James Cromwell's Captain Stacy and Gwen Stacy? Why are they at Harry's funeral? They don't fucking know him.
Hey, here you go. Another likable character, Cromwell. Only because James Cromwell's awesome.
He's a great actor. But this is what I'm talking about. Why are they at that funeral? Who gives a like Aunt May?
Great question.
Aunt May and Peter, they belong there. Mary Jane, she belongs there. Vernon, he belongs there. Who else belongs there that's at that scene?
I don't even know who that is.
No, and that's what I'm talking about. Why are they even fucking there? Oh, this movie's so bad. There's so many plot holes in this movie. There's so many stupid.
The funny thing is, it's like there was no like. I don't know who would even be asking this question, like a supervisor or someone, just being like, "Does this person even know who this person is?
Yeah.
Like, does this even make sense logistically?"
Yeah, like, here's the thing. I just rewatched Avengers Endgame a couple days ago, and they have the end funeral for Iron Man, right? Some of those characters don't have a history with Iron Man. And you understand part of it is doing the whole timeline of the MCU and the whole thing. But logically, also in that scene, all of them have history with Iron Man and or have history with somebody else, where it becomes they were a soldier, he was a soldier along with me in a war. And out of respect,
Yeah,
I'm going to be here because other people I respect are also here.
they're showing respect for
The icon.
Yes, I get what you're saying. Yes.
They all at least, none of them are out of the place to the point where you're just like, the fuck are they doing there?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I get what you're saying is Harry's not a big enough person for Gwen to be there.
why is she there? Why is he there? Why are they here? I'm telling you, Dylan, I've never been more pissed off during this show than I have during this episode. And I gotta tell you, while I was watching this movie, it's the first time ever that we've ever had to watch a movie for this show where I actively got up and walked away and did another task during it because I was so mad, just going like, what is with this? I did dish. I paused the movie. I didn't even pause the movie. I shouldn't even lie. I didn't pause the movie. There was a scene that jazz scene so cringe that I've seen it enough through memes and other things that I was doing dishes. I'd look, I'd do a dish, I'd look, I'd do another dish, and loaded the dishwasher because I was so it's so cringe. B, it's so frustrating. C, it's so maddening.
We should say there are multiple times during this movie that are very, very cringe.
So cringe.
Like, if you have Andrew Garfield doing those, I wouldn't even say emo parts because I would never do those.
Yeah.
You have him doing like a Rat Pack kind of like 50s thing, maybe he could pull those off. Doing like
sure.
maybe do those like jazz thing, like a Frank Sinatra kind of thing.
I
Maybe he
just
could pull it off.
this movie should just
But
be thrown into a dumpster and burned. It's bad.
if you have the charisma of a Frank Sinatra, maybe. But if you have the charisma of a Tobey Maguire, uh-uh. No,
It's
no,
so
no, no,
funny
no.
because he's truly a talented actor, and
Oh,
you don't root for him at
he's
all.
a he's a great actor.
Yeah,
Like the thing is, there's a great movie that not many people have seen, which is Brothers,
oh yeah, that gets talked about
which
a lot in certain
yeah,
circles.
yeah, which is him and another actor who is great,
Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal, which is another actor who gets underappreciated. But it's a great fucking movie that doesn't get the love it deserves. And it's two people that never get the love they deserve. That shows two great performances, and he is so great in that movie. And it shows how great of an actor he is. But like,
But then he did this 2 years beforehand,
exactly.
so no one took
I'm
Brothers
like,
serious.
it's like,
Is Brothers truly his follow up? Did he do anything in between Brothers and Spider-Man 3? I'm not sure, and this is certainly the biggest. Brothers was certainly the biggest thing he had done since Spider-Man 3, which ergo immediately put a lot of people into, fuck am I gonna watch that for?
well, that's a great question. And I'll look that up right now. But also, it's just like, Tobey Maguire is not the person to do charismatic sex symbol.
Yeah, I know. That's.
Like,
I think we should just end it. This is just we're talking in circles, just going. This is so dumb. It's just
yeah,
this movie's dumb. That's the best way to. This is
yeah,
just a dumb movie, and
yeah.
not in a good
That is.
way. Not in a clear your brain out, have some fun with some dumb fun. Just it's just dumb. Uh, so let's ask our questions. A, was this worth the box office that it got?
I'm gonna argue yes, because it's the third of a trilogy.
I'm gonna say no because usually I use that defense, but there's another trilogy that ends very wackily that's still way better than this in the same year and is a better franchise. So I would say no.
Apparently, he was in Tropic Thunder,
Maybe he had a
but I
bit
don't
part in
remember
that.
him.
I don't remember that because everyone remembers Blackface, Robert Downey Jr., and Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And
What
then,
was the other question?
is this movie worth a rewatch?
Fuck no.
Absolutely not. I can't even give you like the two Star Wars ones. I could at least give you the they mean a lot to the mythology, even though they're bad. I can't even give you this. I can't even do that.
Oh, I would say if you watch Spider-Man 1 and 2, straight up stop.
Yeah,
Like,
stop.
don't go on.
Peter and MJ are in love, and it's the height of that franchise.
Yes. Like, just imagine their life afterward. That's a better story.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
That's it. That's it.
God, this movie fucking sucks. God, this movie's bad. And now I'm tempted because I don't want to just rewrite Star Wars. I might fucking rewrite this movie. Oh God.
Don't even bother. Don't even. It's a waste
No,
of
because it
time.
bothers me because there's characters I like in this.
It, it's there's been so many reboots of this fucking movie. There's probably gonna be another fucking reboot because Tom Holland's probably done with this franchise.
Oh no, he's locked up.
I guarantee there's gonna be another reboot.
I'm not saying there's not going to be another reboot, but I'm telling you, this is not the last time. No Way Home was not the last time you saw Tom Holland as Spider-Man in the MCU. I'm telling you that right now. They are
I
going.
guarantee.
They are going to
I
back
guarantee.
up the Brinks truck to get him to sign a billion-year contract.
Okay. Well, I'll put it on money right here, right now, that if they get him to do one more, that'll be his final one.
Does that account? Does that account for Avengers films as well?
Oh, just one more Spider-Man. That's all he'll do. I think he's the type of actor that will only do one more, and he'll.
I
I
don't.
do think he's
I
the
think
kind of
they're.
guy that
I think they're gonna
is
try
done
to.
with.
I think they're gonna try to make him the new Robert Downey Jr. and just keep having playing Spider-Man.
I think he's the kind of actor that wants to be done with his type of movie.
Here, let's do in the future. We'll do a movie bet of the show, which this would be like years in the future. But then the other person gets to pick a movie for review that we have to watch based solely
Okay.
off of this bet. I'm telling you, there's going to be more than Spider-Man 4 in the MCU. I'm gonna guarantee it. I'm gonna guarantee it right now.
So
Because I think he signed another 3-picture deal, which one of those is Spider-Man, and then 2 of those are probably Avengers movies. Which also doesn't make sense because now no one remembers him. So why the fuck would Spider-Man be in Avengers movies when the Avengers don't remember Spider-Man? But nonetheless, figure it out somehow. And now he gets to play with Daredevil. He gets to play with the X-Men. There's no
yeah.
goddamn way they're gonna let Tom Holland go.
So Spider-Man, Homeward Bound, right?
Yeah.
It's gotta have home in.
Spider-Man
That's,
Home Arrest. That's what it's gonna be for Tom Holland.
yeah, it's gotta have home in there. So yeah, okay. We'll see.
Spider-Man, my home is a Brinks truck. Like that's what it's gonna be. Oh god, this movie sucks though. Spider-Man. This movie sucks. This truly brought. I was watching good movies in 2025. This brought the year down, man. It did. It brought the year down.
Okay, the question is, better or worse than Amazing Spider-Man?
I'm gonna tentatively say with the asterisks, I'm currently emotional because I just rewatched Spider-Man 3. I'm gonna say Spider-Man 3 is worse. I
I'm gonna say not even better. I'm gonna say way better.
I at least have chemistry between 2 good leads. I'll,
I will give you that. That is
so that's the only thing I can. That's the only argument I have. I will have to eventually have to rewatch Amazing Spider-Man 2 to give you that answer. So, and I'll bash my head up against the wall every moment I do it. That's been the show today, folks. I hope you enjoyed me
oh
losing my goddamn sanity.
yes. So we're not gonna pick a random one because we're gonna do
Sound
the
of
Sound of
Music.
Music in March.
Yes. So our next big box office movie is going to be The Sound of Music, and that's going to be airing in March because we're going to be doing some Oscar predictions, some Oscar reactions. We have another top 100 movie coming out. We have a couple specials coming your way as well. So check those out, and it's going to be a heck of a lot
It's
of fun.
60th anniversary.
60th anniversary of The Sound of Music. So we can at least say there's a good movie to watch for the big box office series. And we also
Yes.
we already spoiled this. Thank God in July we're watching Back to the Future for big box office. We at least get one movie that I not even that I like that I truly love to watch because
Hey,
it's getting
I'll
rough, dude.
spoil it. I'll spoil it now. I love The Sound of Music. I don't know if you've even ever seen it,
I
but
think I've watched it once,
okay.
but it was
I'll
very
spoil it. I
it
love
was
that movie.
it was through
So,
and through. So I'm excited to finally get to watch it all the way through. But that has been the show today, folks. Check in for some other stuff. I hope you're gonna enjoy what we're doing in the next couple weeks. Check out the Top 100 series where you can see Dylan and I's top 100 movies. We're doing a 10 at a time. It's going to release every single month this year. Year long project. And we're going to be doing the best action scenes ever tournament for March Madness. Switching it up because, and now I fully agree with Dylan, doing the worst comic book movie tournament would have been a knife to my heart, and I don't want to do it. And I agree with you.
Exhausting process.
And guess what? Spider-Man 3 would have been it, and I'd have to rewatch even a clip of Spider-Man 3, so it would have been worse. I did just think of an idea how to do that in the future. We do what's the best scene in the movie, what's the worst scene in the movie, and just watch those two scenes, and then tell you what the movie's like after that. But that has been the show here today, folks. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Stay tuned where you can, and we'll check you out next time. Peace, love, and hugs to you all.